Welcome back to the Seasky Podcast. I am your host this week, Marc, and I am here with...
Adam?
No, with Devon.
Oh.
Hey, Devon. How's your audio this time?
I think it's fine. I really wanted to be Adam. Can I be Adam for the whole time?
You do not want to be Adam.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just got a limited amount of time to record. Adam couldn't line anything up. Managed to swing Devon in last minute. And we're here to talk about just a couple things. It's the next week is our Hyperspace event here in Vancouver. So I want to have some pre-Hyperspace chat. We have a bunch of news from Star Wars Celebration. We're going to talk about Wave 5. And at the end of the episode, we will talk about the Episode 9 trailer and our movie predictions. I'll make it very clear when we're moving into that, so stop listening at that point if you do not want to be spoiled about what's in the trailer. But first, let's talk about Wave 5. Let's give people what they want to listen to. So Wave 5 was announced, Devon, and it has the Ghost, the Punishing One, Inquisitor's Tie, the M3A Interceptor.
That's the Seek.
The Seek, yes. We have a Republic Y-Wing, and we have the Nantex class starfighter, which is that weird Geonosis ship, right?
Oh man,
who flew that in the movies? Do you know?
Don't know if it was in the movies.
No? Okay.
Do you think it was in the movies?
I don't remember any of those things at all.
I think they're both ships from the Clone Wars TV show, or the bad Clone Wars TV show, the 3D one, not the 2D one.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking at my cat's doing something very stupid.
What's more important, your podcast or your cats?
I'll have to say my cats. Anywho,
so what did you want to talk about these ships first? They look really funky.
First, we have the Nantex, which has white 1 hards, blue 1 banks, 2 white turns, blue 2 banks and 2 forward, 3 sloops, red obviously, white 3 turns, 3 forward and bank blues, white 4 forward, white red forward, white 5 forward and a 5k turn, obviously red. It has a pretty decent dial. Its stat line is 3 attack, bullseye arc only.
I love that they're starting to do things like this.
That's kind of Kimogila-esque. We have 2, it has 2 dice through a turret, and then it has 3 evade, 4 haul. But my favorite thing about it is its ability, which, based on what we can see, looks like you cannot rotate your turret arc to your back, to behind you, and after you execute a maneuver, you may gain 1 tractor token to perform a rotate action. And its only actions otherwise is focus and evade. So, theoretically, you get 3 actions in a turn if you move, gain a tractor token to give yourself a barrel roll or a 1 forward boost, rotate your arc, and then take a focus or an evade.
Yeah. This ship...
It's very interesting.
I have no idea how it's going to fly. Or how it's going to play. Like, I can't... I'm having difficulty visualizing how it's going to move, and it seems like it's going to be so weird. I'm very much looking forward to this nonsense ship.
Yeah, all that action economy seems like something I would really enjoy, but I have no idea if it will actually be good. Like 3 evade's pretty good, but then when you're
but it's 2 evade.
It's 3.
Yeah, but in order to reposition,
when you tractor, I see what you mean.
You need to tractor yourself.
Yes.
So unless it gains a way to dump those tractor beam tokens.
It does. There is
Tell me more.
Ensnare. Oh my god, I see that setup. Nice segue. There's an EPT that is exclusive to this ship. It's Nantex class fighter, starfighter only. At the end of the activation phase, if you are tractored, you may choose 1 ship in your turret arc at range 0 to 1. Transfer 1 tractor to it. That sucks.
What do you mean that sucks?
Like, in terms of, like, it's good. It's really good.
Okay. All right.
Also, it looks like trick shots coming back. We'll talk about that later. or snapshot, not trick shot. There's something deflection that comes in it. It's the third card in the shown there. So I mean, you may reroll tractored ship's arc. So maybe when defending, you can reroll defense dice if the enemy ship is tractored in your arc. I don't know.
Either way, it's going to be real funky. So now the one thing I suppose, so within Snare, right, you move, you assign yourself a tractor beam token, then you can boost or barrel roll yourself, and you can move your arc, and then you transfer the tractor beam token to another ship at the end of the activation phase. So whereupon you can then move them again, but you can move them, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is just going to be a bully on the battlefield. Like,
I have a feeling this guy's going to be pretty cheap too.
Well, if you screw that up, you're going to explode.
Well, I'm hoping. So the PS3 generic probably doesn't have an EPT. The PS4 generic probably does, and then maybe
I don't think this ship is usable without that EPT on it.
Maybe we'll see.
I mean, prove me wrong.
I love it,
but it's certainly an A. They don't have really any. They only have one I2, right?
Yeah.
And it's a unique pilot. So everyone else is 3 and over, right? And 3 is generally where we see talent slots. So starting at, like, if you think of the Black Squadrons or Red Squadron vets for Rebels and for Resistance. So maybe just everybody has a talent slot except for the I2 guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's your feelings on the fact that there's a Initiative 5 and Initiative 6 guy? Like, do you think those will be good to Arc Dodgers? And talk for a little while, because I gotta go mess with my cats, and I won't be hearing you this whole time. So give me a second. Just fill air.
Great. Thanks for that wonderful little tip-off there. No, I think with I6, especially if it has a functional ability, which we're having difficulty seeing, this is sort of a great ship that you're probably going to see replacing Grievous in the double Infiltrator Grievous lists. The dial's really wide open, especially with the fact that this ship is almost never going to be stressed. It's certainly got really interesting maneuvers. With the 3 sloops, I can see putting afterburners on it. I'm probably... it doesn't have a target lock, and we see the introduction of the targeting computer mod slot, or targeting computer in this pack, which I think tells us this ship probably has a mod slot, since it also comes with a stealth device. So if it does in fact come with a mod slot, I would suggest, Sunfac at I6 with afterburners and Ensnare is probably going to be a really great little ace, points depending, to run around with Maul and Dooku and their chunky, hate-filled infiltrators, which have sort of been that list has sort of been tearing it up, at least locally here.
Yeah. So how do you know the I6's name is Sunfac? Is that just from something?
Yeah, he's a character.
Okay, sure.
It says Sun, and then you go into Wikipedia. And
type in Sun. Sure, makes sense.
You type in Sun, and then you're like, oh, look, there's a character from Clone Wars called Sunfac.
Well, I'm assuming you said lots of smart and insightful things, so we're going to move on to the Y-Wing now, if you feel that's right.
Sure.
All right. So the Y-Wing is just armored. It looks like the Y-Wing, but has armor on it. So it looks like the Y-Wing ate too much.
Joke's on, I guess, everyone who bought the this Y-Wing from a 3D printer,
like Shapeways or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Spent $40 on Shapeways per model.
Yeah. So the Y-Wing stats are, it's got 2 attack, 1 evade, 5 hull, 3 shields, focus, target lock, red barrel roll, red reload. I think that's the same as the current Y-Wing. Its dial has white 1 banks, blue 1 forward, 2 white turns and banks, 2 blue forwards, 3 red turns, white, 3 banks and 3 forwards, 4 red forwards, and a 4K turn. I don't know if that's the same as the current Y-Wing dial or not.
It is not. So it loses the 2. So the armored Y-Wing has the 1.0 Y-Wing dial, which is why you're confused. And then the 2.0 Y-Wing dial, or the Rebel Y-Wing, has its one banks are blue. So this has the old Y-Wing dial from 1.0. I hate talking about 1.0, but they've kept that dial the same, which is really interesting. Mm-hmm. We do have one strange modification that's turned down. Do you know what and the stats are slightly different than a Rebellion Y-Wing. So I think it's got one more hull and one more shield, one less hull. Okay. I think. Yeah, it's 5 and 3. So 5 hull, 3 shields, and a Rebellion one has 6 hull and 2 shields. So same amount. It can take the same amount of damage, but it has one more shield and one less hull.
Also, they all have a built-in ability called Plated Hull. While you defend, if you are not critically damaged, change one crit result to a hit result. That's gonna be rough,
especially with the type of crits that are in the 2.0 deck. I mean, that's a really good ability. You need 2 amazing crits. You need a double crit going through for it to even start taking crits.
Yeah, and then kills its ability at that point. Anakin Skywalker is a pilot. So that's 3 ships for Republic that Anakin can be in.
He's in the Aether Sprite. He's in
Naboo Starfighter. In this.
Oh, but that's still
Anakin.
Little Orphan Annie, not.
Also, it appears there's a gunner upgrade that gives you a force. So it's too blurry for me to really make out.
Oh, you can just tell from the turret?
Well, no, you can tell because there's a +1 force on the corner of it, and the pack comes with 4 force. So Anakin will have 3, and then +1 from that.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Also, as you can see, the very top EPT is Snapshot, which looks to be 2 attack, range 2 only. And then
that's a very interesting change from 2.0.
From 1.0, you mean?
Oh, yeah, from 1.0. So I think because that avoids an issue where missiles now or some ordnance give and receive or
range bonuses.
Yeah. Missiles don't, I guess. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but cannons certainly do.
And it also looks like at the very bottom, your dice cannot be modified.
Yeah, so similar to 1.0 in that regard. But depending on price, I mean, that's I know some people do not enjoy adding attacks into the game.
Yeah.
But I certainly think that's it's always been a fun card to use, and pushing it to range 2 is
interesting.
Gives it adds some tactical depth other than
running fast.
Range 3 or range 1, right? The range 2 band's pretty boring, so it's interesting to do something there.
Yeah, we don't have Tactician anymore, or whatever it was.
That's true. Tactician doesn't exist.
Hey, what do you think
Palp does?
Yeah, what do you think those tokens are underneath the number tokens under the 14s? There's these 2 interesting tokens.
No idea.
Look like little camera apertures.
Maybe there's a new bomb, so maybe they have something to do with the new bomb, or it could be a device or a remote, which I don't appreciate. Yeah, I don't like bombs in the game. I think, if you've had me on here before, which you might have, I might have. Yeah. Antithetical to being good at X-Wing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see what that is. Do we know what that is?
I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very tanky. Certainly having an I6 Force user in a Y-Wing, in the Republic, if these things have a gunner slot like the Rebel ones, you're probably going to see 7th Fleet Gunner on them, with a very nice wide arc. So they might start replacing some of the, or replacing or supplementing arcs. So instead of maybe having 3 arcs and a Jedi, maybe you have 3 arcs and a Y-Wing, or 2 arcs and Anakin in a Y-Wing. So certainly having a Jedi in something that's super chunky is going to be, how am I going to put this? Dangerous, right? Because if you can do battle meditation on a Y-Wing, right? Or with with 7th Fleet Gunner or Commander Cody, right? Like that starts to get pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone the fact that we've seen 5 Y-Wings with VTG and ion turrets, or I suppose there's one of those upgrades missing to make it all fit. So if that's not fixed quickly enough, or if these ships come in at a similar price point to the other Y-Wings, sort of like how the Mining Guild TIEs started out as the same points cost as the regular TIE fighters, it looks like they've done something similar, giving a bonus and then taking something away on the dial. So if these are similarly priced, maybe we'll see, VTG Republic Y-Wings. So buy 5, run Gunner.
The Ghost is being re-released. It comes with hate.
A good reason to get it. I think actually the most interesting thing about this now is it comes with a sheathopede model, and that model can be attached and detached from the rear of the ship. Did you notice that?
Yeah, so here's my question. Does it not come with the original attack shuttle?
No, it comes with the sheathopede.
Interesting. Do you think they'll re-release their original attack shuttle, or are they just removing that from the game?
I have no idea.
Also, it has a new peg for the Ghost, so it can actually stand properly.
But do I want to buy another one?
Yes. You're gonna buy one. It's fine.
No, I don't want to, Mark.
I don't have much to say about that. Like, it's just new old stuff again. Inquisitor's tie is coming out again. That's cool. Also comes with hate, so that's another way I can get hate. Interestingly, it comes with auto afterburners, and it mentions pairing them with afterburners in the text. But interestingly, they do not have mod slots. So
that is the error in the.
Well, the question is: Are they adding a mod slot to them, or is it like Fenrau where it's for quick build? Because the Fang Fighters came with afterburners, and they don't have mod slots. So I don't know if that was a case of removing a mod slot during playtesting after.
I just think that it was a mistake in the article. Hey, look, if they get...
Honestly, I giving them a mod slot would do so much for them, because right now they're not great.
Well, they need a chassis ability, and they don't have one.
Exactly. So give them a mod slot so they can have afterburners, and I'll be happy, and I'll be back to flying triple aces again.
You can fly triple aces now.
Yeah, but I can't do Grand Inquisitor, Soontir Fel, Darth Vader like I could in 1.0.
But no. But you could
fly
once
this re-releases.
Like Marek or Tur or
no,
like
fuck you,
Vermeil or
Punishing One is also being re-released.
Thanks, Mark.
Everyone hates the U-boat just from 1.0 issues.
I don't know why the title is flipped over. So maybe it's coming with a new title?
Maybe they're changing the title.
Did it... Because they had their... Like, why are you hiding the title? We know what the title is? Or is it just a new title?
We'll find out.
There's nothing hidden in the Grand Inquisitor.
Nope. Or for the... there is for the Ghost.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a droid, a stack of cards upside down like the droid. But, like, it could just because, hey, there's so many cards that come in this that they don't want just to show them all, because that would take up a lot of room.
Ridiculous. I mean, no one's going to cry if the Punishing One never comes back. But, it's if it's your favorite ship, then it should be viable in some way.
Also,
right?
Looking at the Ghost, I just realized the arc it comes with, like the, not the arc, but the turret thing, still doesn't fit on the Ghost peg.
It does fit on the Sheathopede peg.
I understand that, but the Ghost has a turret slot, though, right? So, yeah, the Seek is coming back as well. People will continue to not fly it. That's about it. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about the Seek at all?
Yeah, it's overcosted.
Sure, cool.
But, I mean, Scum's got... I was going to say Scum's got a lot of options right now, but they really don't. But they ruined so much of my experience in 1.0 that I really couldn't care less.
Scum.
Although, we were talking about this just before we went live. Do you want to use this to transition into Celebration? Star Wars
Sure.
Celebration?
Well, we already talked about Star Wars. This is Star Wars Celebration we're talking about.
Oh, when you said talking about Star Wars Celebration, I thought you wanted to talk about like the Mandalorian.
No, we'll talk about that all after all the X-Wing stuff.
Well, the Mandalorian ship looks kick-ass. And so hopefully that will come to Scum as like a medium ship. And it'll be a great time.
Cool. We'll go into that more later.
Will we?
Sure. Don't doubt me. I'll cut you from this episode. It'll just be me talking to myself.
Sounds like a riveting experience for your listeners.
Yeah. So we just had a local tournament here. I did not do well. We only did 3 rounds. There was 10 people, I believe. We had Jason won it. That is his second win in 2 weeks. He's been doing pretty good lately.
Go, Jason.
He's been flying Blackout, Quick Draw, and an Upsilon. And it's pretty brutal. Like, I faced him yesterday, and he had an obstructed shot onto Darth Vader. And he shot at me with a missile or something. Obviously a missile, but I forget which one. But he rolled 6 dice with a target lock, re-rolled, spent his focus. Because I lost 2, I was only rolling 2 dice with Vader because it was obstructed range 2 shot. And he rolled 6 hits, and I had 0 shields on Vader, so no matter if I rolled 2 evades, Vader was dead. It was definitely a Fields bad.
Well, don't get shot.
I know.
Why was Vader getting shot?
Okay, here's the problem. So, I did not expect him to 2-hard, so he 2-harded in.
Wait, you didn't expect an ace to 2-hard?
Well, he was currently running away with him, and I didn't think he was going to cut in. But in case he did, he was stressed already, so I was like, okay, if he 2-hards in, if he does that, I can go straight with my, whatchamacallit, with Vermeil, my TIE Reaper, with Death Troopers, land at range 1, and when he moves, he doesn't remove his stress. So that would screw him. But then I was looking at it, I was like, he won't do that. So I ended up going a different way with Vermeil. And then he did do it. I was like, fuck. Just one of those things. So it is what it is. I wrecked his quick draw, though. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, quick draw just goes down.
Yeah, so I came 8th in the tournament overall. I did not do well. It was out of 3 games, I won 1, and the only reason I won it is because it was a tie, and I won the final salvo. So that sucked. Yeah, basically, congrats on Jason. That was a fantastic win. He's a really good player, and I hope he does well at Hyperspace. I'm sure he will. I'm assuming he'll make at least top 16. He is definitely good enough to do so. So I was at one point 7-0 with my Hyperspace list. I am now 12-6 with it. I am not feeling confident a week out from Hyperspace, and because it's a week out, I don't feel comfortable changing my list at all.
I think you should just stick with the list and just play better.
But the problem is,
put afterburners on Vader and don't get caught
instead of hate and FCS. But then I lose my 1-point bid, and even just having a 1-point bid against any other PS6s goes a long way.
What else do you have on Vermeil?
Huh?
Like, what other upgrades do you have? Like, none, right?
I have hate and FCS on Vader and Death Troopers on Vermeil, and that's it.
That's it.
And I'm at 199. So if I dropped hate and FCS and put on afterburners, I'd be at 200. So, yeah. And plus, hate's really helpful. FCS is really useful as well. It's just one of those things. It's just shitty because every time I lose, not every time, but when I lose, I'll ask my opponents, hey, what could I have done differently? What should I have done? And a lot of times it's, no, you pretty much did everything right.
Whenever you tell me about your losses, all I ever think is, well, it sounds like he's just overcommitting with Vader. He's not flying it conservatively enough, and you probably just need to be a little,
Well, I played you, right? I played you. I beat you.
Yeah, you did.
Like what? I basically fly my list the exact same every game, just so I have the repetition and muscle memory. What do you think I did wrong in our game? If you can remember that, because that was like 2 weeks ago.
You jousted with Countdown and Vermeil, and
Delmico was probably in there with them.
Delmico was behind Vader. I rolled completely average, you would have lost Vermeil on the first round of combat. Although I probably did I made targeting mistakes where I think I could have powered down Countdown where I had the opportunity. I think that would have been a better choice than powering down Vermeil. And then you put Vader in a really rough place the next round, and he lost shields and some hull. But then I was really stuck on a rock with my TIE Swarm and got eaten alive, because instead of turning into where I knew Vermeil and Countdown were going to go, because you slooped them both, and had I turned up, sacrificing position to Delmico and Vader, who probably could not have done a lot of damage by themselves, I could have killed your stressed Countdown and Vermeil. I made that mistake. I lost the final of the Hyperspace trial that I got my Worlds invite for. Because I slooped Countdown. And I don't think that you should ever voluntarily stress that ship. But yeah, I thought your approach with Vader was very dangerous. My
approach with Vader was dangerous?
Yeah.
So was it going too fast or what?
No, he should have been further out. In our game, he should have been further out on the flank. So it'd be harder to isolate him. If I'd had a little bit more, if I recall correctly, the round I had 4 shots on Vader, I rolled particularly poorly. And again, and you killed Howlrunner at the beginning of that round, fairly luckily. So I think, right, that, because your list is very efficient, that you're probably okay jousting 60% of the time, 70% of the time, right? And because Vader and Vermeil and Countdown are forgiving, especially with Delmico, right? That Vermeil punishes bad play on your opponent's part. Countdown can throw away a bad hit. Vader can generally avoid a bunch of damage and hate and shoot and be, it mitigates a lot of its own issues. But I think that, it seems like I said, what was it I said at the beginning? You're not being conservative enough with Vader.
Sure.
Right? That, you should be coming in and tanking like you were with, Vermeil and Countdown, with Delmico probably closer to them and Vader, going wide and coming in, versus, he ended up sort of in the middle of the scrum, which is a pretty dangerous place for an ace.
Sure. I normally do have Delmico out with Countdown and Vermeil. I fly them in a group, and then Vader usually off to the side and trying to flank in. I don't know how I got separated there.
It just seems like the list, when you talk about what you're losing, it just sounds like it is just, I probably zigged when you should have zagged, and it's, with Vader, the conservative choice is usually better.
I mean, I generally try to go slow with Vader, just do the ones and do the ones with him, and maybe a K turn if I'm close and I know they're getting behind me. So, maybe a Talon roll if I'm feeling saucy. People usually don't expect that. I think most of my losses have been because I've been seeing a lot more 5 and 6s out there now, and because my list is a 6 and a bunch of 4s. The 4s can kind of get shot down pretty quickly, especially Vermeil only having 1 defense dice. So there's that issue, because anything that's lower pilot skill than me, I feel really confident against. Mm-hmm. I think the meta's just kind of shifted a bit ever since I picked that list and started flying it.
Well, I think you should just keep at it, right? You still, you had a good run, right? You did a bunch of practice games.
Well, that's what Jonas was saying. He's like, hey, you're just getting all your losses out of the way now. It's like, I don't think that's how it works, but sure.
Well, and like, okay, so you had a 100% win ratio for your first 7 games.
Yeah.
Right?
To be fair, like 3 of them were versus Adam, so...
All right. So you had a 100% win ratio for your first 4 games. And then you lost a bunch of games. So you just got to play more people.
Yeah, well,
right?
I'm wondering
just because you play Adam all the time, you just have his number, right?
Sure.
So...
well, I'm wondering if because
and he's bringing Fat Hand to the weekend, right? Did I just sell him down the river? You know, and we can talk about that in a bit too. But
I think what my problem is because I was winning so much, I got overconfident.
Yeah, and we're just like, oh, I'll just joust them.
Oh, but jousting's so much fun.
Yeah, honorable joust is a great time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how much practice I can even get in before Hyperspace. The Friday before is a stat, so I'll probably end up just practicing all day on Friday with people, and hope I get good matchups.
I have faith. Like you're gonna do fine. The list is very good.
Yeah, it's a good list. It's just a bummer when like the last 2 tournaments I went to, it's like woof. Not doing great. But no, I'm excited for Wave 5 because if Inquisitor comes out, I've built a Suntirfell Vader Inquisitor list, and if I can put Afterburners on Inquisitor, that's even better. And then I'll probably only be flying that for the rest of my life because Triple Aces are my baby. I don't know if that would be actually good in the meta. Doing a Triple Aces play right now, maybe.
I think the Grand Inquisitor just hurts from... He just doesn't get action economy.
Yeah.
He can't get use out of hate. He just doesn't have enough.
Well, that's why I think if I had Afterburners on him, it would go a long way because that extra boost for repositioning would really help. Maybe I should give the Silencer another shot. The Silencer seems really good.
Both Blackout and Kylo are really good, but again with Kylo,
I think I would probably use Blackout more than Kylo. Kylo's just so expensive.
Sure, but you're seeing Kylo with Supernatural or Kylo with Protorps and Hate doing really well when people just play him super conservatively and just rarely engage, or they engage 2 or 3 rounds out of a game, and you just go long and you can do that sort of 5 forward boost barrel roll nonsense that interceptors can do. And all of a sudden you're points fortressing, a whole 90 points.
Yeah, Suntirfell's back in Hyperspace now, so I was thinking about that, but I can't switch my list this quick, and I have no experience flying Suntirfell in 2.0, just because I've just never used him in 2.0 yet, so I don't want a week out from Hyperspace. It's a bad choice to change my list.
Absolutely. So I... Stick with the list, man.
But the second Hyperspace is over, I am tossing this list and building an Arc Dodger list.
But if you have 20 reps with it, you know the matchups, you know how to play. Think on the points when you lost the previous games, right? If you think about them, and then asking your opponents is good, and if they're not giving you good feedback, right, you need to think about. Okay, when did I start feeling like when I was losing, right? When did I lose control of the game, right? When did I stop making decisions and started reacting to my opponent, right? When did I start letting them dictate the pace and flow of what's going on?
Because I flew Arc Dodgers so much, my entire, I loved to play the game reactionary, right? When I played Suntirfell, Vader, Inquisitor in 1.0, it was always, okay, all your stuff moves first. Okay, now I'm moving. Okay, now what do I want to do? That's how I like to play the game. So
sure,
being reactionary is not a downside in my books.
I think in just terms of control of we're talking about different things, right? So in terms of when I'm saying, playing reactionary, right? You're letting your opponent dictate where engagements happen, how the pace of play, when and where ships are moving, right?
Yes,
and I can do that you can do that to your opponent by positioning, right? So when you're talking about reacting to what your opponent is doing, right, they have allowed you the freedom to maneuver your ace ships wherever you want, right, in order to take advantage of their maneuverability. They've let you flank, or they've, you're not in a kill box, you're not in their arcs, or you have the freedom or space to barrel roll out of their arcs, right? Yeah. So that's not that. So while that is reacting to what decisions they have made, right, that's still you taking advantage in the game of their decisions, right? You're pushing their ships around and you're forcing their decisions, right? Based on the fact that your aces have those reposition abilities and you've put them in the right place, right? If they'd flown differently, right, then, or if like I have a swarm of droids that are all spread out, right, and I just push like a range 3 worth of droids at Soontir Fel, like I'm gonna get him an arc somewhere, right? Yeah. Or I might, if I just put like 4 ships where I think he's gonna go, which you can do with droids. I had a very successful game recently where I played Wat Tambor and 7 Trade Federation drones, and then you just like spam your opponent with Trade Federation drones, and you're like, some of them have calculates, or all of them have calculates. I'm just going to fill the mat in front of you with ships, and then your aces can't really accomplish what you need them to accomplish because I've bumped them, or I've blocked reposition vectors, or I've put them in places where I'm going to have shots on you, or multiple shots on different areas. So that's more of what I meant by reacting to your opponent.
What's your opinion on the meta right now?
I think it's in a really good place.
I feel like some of the stuff might be too cheap. Like Adam's list, he's doing Poe 3 A-wings, like Lulo, Tally, and whatever. It's like 195 points. It's like so fucking cheap.
So he's going to be running Han and Jake, right?
Adam? No.
Yeah. No?
No, that's a good list, though. Let's talk about that.
No, I think the meta's in a good place. We're going to see a points adjustment in June. We'll see a points adjustment when wave 4 hits. We'll see some, like, the fact that they're keeping their pulse on what's going on, that they've done the emergency hit to the Upsilons. I don't know if Juke is necessarily a problem. If Juke was a problem, you'd see it.
I don't think Juke's a problem.
You'd see it on more ships than just the Phantom, right?
Yeah.
So,
my question is, how come they did the emergency errata on the Upsilon, but how good was, I don't know if, I didn't see it ever. So
it was less about, or in the article they said it was less about how good it was, although it was quite good. It was about how much of a negative play experience it was to have those 2 Upsilons sitting in the middle of the board smashing into you round 1. Right? Sure. It took so much thought out of the game. Say what you will about 4 Phantoms being easy mode, you still have to play them. You still have to. It gets like were as many people at the bottom of the lists of the Chicago System Open with that list as there were at the top. So, the Phantoms are probably a little too expensive, or a little too inexpensive, or maybe the Sigmas need a 2-dot unique, like an errata like that might be an interesting change. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm super looking forward to seeing what happens in June, whether the veteran turret gunner needs a little tweak and the Phantoms need a little tweak, and to sort of jump ahead of the conversation we're about to have about Han and Jake. Hopefully the Rebel Falcon loses its illicit slot. But other than that, I think everything's in a real good place.
I think Resistance A-Wings should probably go up 2 points a piece, maybe. Tally's so cheap.
Sure. Now that everyone's bought 5, they can make it so you can only run 4.
Sure. Perfect.
I'll buy your used ones. Hit me up.
So, yeah, the UK System Open was just this weekend. And we had this squad win, which was Han Solo with Kanan Jarrus, R2-D2, Luke Skywalker, Millennium Falcon title, engine upgrade, trick shot, internal dampeners, and Jake Farrell with Lone Wolf outmaneuver. A total of 191 points. 9-point bid.
So Jack Mooney ran Han and Jake in 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. He went undefeated in a 600-person System Open with that list.
Yeah.
And so you can see, I would recommend, rather than us describing the nonsense that this list can do, I would suggest go watch the games. I think they have him on stream 3 times: finals, semifinals, quarterfinals. It's First Earth on Twitch. So basically the way it works is you can use inertial dampeners. You put in whatever you want on your dial, right? Mm-hmm. Then you use inertial dampeners if it's bad at I6. You use Kanan Jarrus to get rid of the stress. And then you can perform an action which can be boost. And then at the end phase, you use R2-D2 to regenerate a shield.
Yeah.
And it's a super arc dodgy list. Basically, he's points fortressing 150 points with Han. So, and if you go for Han first, which is probably the correct choice, although few people seem to do it, then you're probably going to get 70 points, but he can also infinitely regen with R2-D2, right?
Yeah.
And Jake Farrell's only 50 points. He's very difficult to deal with, and apparently Jack only lost Jake Farrell twice the entire tournament, and both of those losses, or he didn't lose the game, but both of those losses of that ship were in the cut. So,
oh God,
I don't know. Well, listen, this list is very good. You can see Nathan Eide in Chicago on the Gold Squadron stream. You can see him playing a very similar list. I believe he crams Nora in the Arc in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But
I don't doubt, 100% he's a fantastic player with this list. It just seems crazy to me that a list seems like this list is good on its own, but it's having a 9-point bid just seems crazy. Being able to have that few points in your list to just ensure that you get initiative, or you can choose who gets initiative.
He's got Han needs to move last, right?
Yeah. But I was thinking, there's nothing he's not losing out by removing anything to have that point bid. I don't know.
Well, he doesn't have a third ship.
Yeah, but I don't think he needs one, right? Han does so much damage on his own and can tank so many hits. And then in the endgame, if Jake's left in the endgame, he just wrecks shop. And then if they go after Jake, then the Falcon is just there just to murder.
So the Falcon, you're either not shooting it or you're shooting it at range 3. The Falcon title means that he has a reroll. Han means that he has a reroll. It's just... And he can regen infinitely. Yeah.
This is kind of like a Decimator Whisper from 1.0 sort of thing, where it's if you go after Whisper, then the Decimator is going to kill you, and if you go after the Decimator, then Whisper is going to kill you.
I don't know. I don't think Jake's going to kill anything, to be honest.
Really? Not even late game if it's Jake versus one other, whatever they have left over?
Maybe. But
Jake's pretty, because Jake's just
he's
hard
pretty
to kill.
fragile.
Yeah.
So, but he also has triple action economy, right?
Yeah.
He's I4. So he boosts their barrel rolls. So he barrel rolls, assigns himself a focus, and then he can red boost.
And then he's got Lone Wolf.
Also, Kanan can remove the stress from him after his red boost. So he can target lock, red boost, Kanan removes the stress, and then he performs a focus action.
Yep. There's some good synergy in there, that's for sure.
A lot of this goes away with inertial dampeners gone or R2D2 changed. But the issue is you can put in like a 3 bank with Han and then change that to a stop maneuver. Then the stress goes away and then you can still boost.
Yep.
And because you're Han Solo, you don't care about not having tokens because you've now arc dodged. You're not getting shot, or they have like a really weak shot, and you can with 2 force and Han's rerolls because he's got Luke Skywalker, Gunner, and Kanan Jarrus. And if you really need to, you at the beginning of the engagement phase, you can rotate your arc so you have a shot. Yeah. So, this is the kind of list I was worried about when Luke Skywalker was spoiled at the beginning of 2.0. And lots of people said, oh no, it's not a problem. And then you never saw him. And then he came down like 8 points. And now you see something like this.
Yeah. And then you see it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he was 8 points more expensive, that list would be still viable because it'd be a 200 point list or a 199 point list.
Right.
And it's still pretty good.
Yep.
I don't know.
So, I'm not sure.
I'm just really curious to see what like the FAQ will be and like what the point changes are going to be for the game, because I want to know what FFG sees as the problems.
Well, like I said, I think we're in a good place right now. Our most recent local hyperspace was won by former Canadian national champion Bohan. He beat Evan Cameron in the final, and they both had really interesting lists. So Bohan was flying a quick draw Tavson list with a 3rd ship, and I'm not going to be able to remember which one that was. And then Evan Cameron was flying 2 infiltrators, Hate and Dooku and Maul, both with Hate. Dooku with the title, and Grievous with his titles. And so, both of those lists are really great. We saw there's a lot of TIE Swarms doing really well out there these days. I mean, I think the meta's in a really good place with it's better than it was for half of 1.0, and, it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I'm trying not to complain too much. Like, I don't want my bias from flying Empire only, like, jade me or anything.
Well, the last time you complained a lot, Chico showed up, so you never know.
Hey, yeah. Maybe if I complain more, we'll get more interesting people on this podcast.
Ouch.
Yeah, whatever.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a rude dude.
Okay.
We've been going, I mean, after this is all edited, probably for about 40-ish minutes at this point. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we move over to Star Wars Celebration talk?
I don't think so.
Cool. So anyone who doesn't want to get spoiled about anything, whether it's Episode 9 or Mandalorian, or I'll probably mention the new Star Wars game from Respawn. I'll briefly mention that. So if you don't want to be spoiled about anything, thank you for listening. Adios. Send us emails, seatoskypodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send us list ideas or list suggestions, if you want to make us try out new stuff that we normally wouldn't try, if you want to make us fly jank, that's interesting too. We have a YouTube. I believe it is just Sea Sky Squadron Podcast or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, thanks for listening. But Star Wars Celebration stuff.
Spoilers dead ahead.
Yeah. I'm assuming you watched the Episode 9 trailer.
I did.
What'd you think?
I'm excited for a First Order Interceptor.
Yes. That will definitely come out. I guess either Wave 6 or like one of those 0.5 waves that kind of come out in between. That they kind of seem to do with movie waves.
I don't know. It's early.
I hope it's good. I'm bummed out because it's just kind of like, oh, we're back to this, which is take an original trilogy ship, throw an extra shield on it, and call it a day.
I guess we got to see another Resistance A-wing.
Yeah.
And when that A-wing is like flying around and like blowing up stuff or being shot at, like you see an ISD-1 in the background. So I don't know if it's going to be like the first couple where there's just a lot of like, hey, check out, we put all the cool stuff in the background that nerds will like because it's in the background. It's all the new Disney stuff's in the front.
Sure.
So that's nice to see that it was an actual Star Wars ship. And I don't know. We'll have to see. Like when you see a teaser trailer this early, right? Oftentimes the graphics aren't done. So I think everyone wants giant space battles, but Rian Johnson reduced the resistance down to like 12 people in the Falcon. So like, how are you going to have a space battle? So it might be more like Rogue One, where it's like a couple of folks on a mission. So it's honestly like,
the space
let's play D&D with J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, the space battles aren't really what I go to Star Wars for. Like I like them. I don't dislike them, but like to me, Star Wars is, it's the hero's journey. It's the character development and the story more so than.
The story's been real bad for the last two movies. So.
I thought Last Jedi and Force Awakens were very good.
Oh, well.
I know. We have different opinions on that, but...
This I don't know.
I'm excited. So, like, I don't know if that, like, whole Rey running away from the Interceptor is a dream sequence or anything, because she has Anakin's lightsaber there, which is destroyed. So I don't know if that's like this is like a dream sequence thing, or if this is just hey, we're going to put this in there because we don't want to spoil anything.
Well, she's got a new, like, it has a grip on it, so maybe she, like, put it back together.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it'll just be, like, 4 years later.
I'm assuming there'll be some big time jump.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Who knows?
But, I mean, right now, I don't think we can learn a lot from this trailer. Like, it has me excited. Like, it looks okay.
Will Palpatine come back?
Yeah, because Ian McDermott friggin' showed up on the stage.
Also,
right?
I think my wife reminded me this was that Matt Smith is in the movie and they have not announced who he is playing. And I could totally see Matt Smith playing a young Palpatine. And if they want to win fans back, you do this shit from the books and you do clone Palpatine.
Well, I guess.
I'm so okay with that. Like, who cares? This is Star Wars. Like, it's a dumb space fantasy. Like, just do the dumb shit. Have Luke. I know they won't do that, but have a clone of Palpatine. Like, whatever. Or maybe, like, we've seen people can be thrown down shafts in space and still survive. Even cut in half, like Darth Maul. Palpatine could have survived being thrown down the Death Star.
Well, as the trailer told us, no one's ever really gone.
You watched the Red Letter Media thing about that?
Yeah, of course.
I thought it was fucking hilarious. I showed it to Adam. Adam didn't think it was funny at all.
I thought it was hilarious. Their timing and editing funny with some of those like cuts was really good.
Yeah, Red Letter Media.
No one's ever really gone cutting from Maul being sliced in half and falling down the tube to like reappearing at Rogue One. Yeah. No, it was great. No one's ever really gone. Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord who will return. Snoke is Jar Jar Binks.
I mean, that shit's stupid.
This coming from someone who was just like, I want Star Wars to be stupid. Do Palpatine clone and Luke clone. Yeah,
sure, do that, but don't make Jar Jar Binks into say he is.
It's the same argument. It's the same argument. Anyway, let's talk about cool Star Wars. So, The Mandalorian is coming, and it looks so good.
I literally see nothing about it aside from the title.
You've seen nothing about it?
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
I'll watch it when it comes out, maybe.
So, dude. So, Jon Favreau is making it.
No, I understand.
Jon Favreau has literally made nothing bad.
Okay, so let's pull up his IMDb.
He kickstarted the Marvel movies with Iron Man, right? It's starring Pedro Pascal, who is amazing.
He's a great actor. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
He is an executive producer on Young Sheldon.
Being an executive producer means that you gave money.
Nothing.
It means nothing. Okay, so don't look at his producer credits.
His director credits?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not directing any of Mandalorian, so... He also directed Iron Man 2, which was garbage.
Yeah, but how much money did it make? Iron Man 2 was pretty good.
Oh, Iron Man 2 is fucking... It's the worst. It's the worst...
It's the worst Iron Man movie.
It might be the worst Marvel movie.
Oh... No, Thor 2 is...
I never saw either of the first two Thors, so...
The first Thor and the third Thor are really good.
I have a coworker who thinks that Thor Ragnarok is the worst Marvel movie.
They're horrifically wrong. But also Taika Waititi gets to play an IG droid.
Sure.
And they are changing the lore on the IG droids because he's playing IG-11. So we're going to have to see how that comes out.
He also directed Cowboys and Aliens, which I liked, but people hated.
I thought it was a fine movie.
I liked it. Do you know the story? This is off point. You know how, so when Cowboys and Aliens came out, that's when like comic book movies were huge. Like when they first kind of came back.
Right.
So you were getting all those movies based on comics. So when they promoted Cowboys and Aliens, they said based on based off the comic book. Except for they made the comic book after they started making the movie, but released it before the movie so they could say the movie was based on a comic.
Cool.
If I remember correctly, that's how it went.
Cowboys versus Aliens?
Cowboys and Aliens.
Well,
Anyways.
I'm really hoping that with The Mandalorian happening between the original trilogy era and the new trilogy era, that we're going to get ships for both. So we're going to get ships for the Empire and for Rebels, and there's a new Cassian Andor show coming, and so hopefully we'll get more Rebel and Imperial ships out of that, so we'll be able to get content for the original trilogy era, which is the best and only interesting era in Star Wars.
If you were into Transformers, you'd be one of those people who said, Optimus Prime's not supposed to be a monkey. This is bullshit when Beast Wars came out.
Beast Wars is probably the best Transformers TV show, though.
Yeah, probably.
So here's the thing.
Transformers Animated got really good in this last season.
Listen. Yeah, but no one watched it. So,
okay, you.
Right. So, content has to be of a certain quality, right? Or at least in my opinion. Right? Like, I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not going to rapidly consume anything they produce because I'm picky and choosy about what I like.
Sure.
Right? Like, a lot of people, Star Wars Celebration is an example, or the new rides at Disney World are an example. Some people have more money than sense and want to spend a lot of money on Star Wars, and they're welcome to it. But like, I'm not gonna like.
I think I'm gonna go. I think we're gonna go to Disneyland probably next year, and I only want to go just to check out Star Wars Land because I just need to know.
Okay.
Well, whatever. You're saying going to Disneyland's a waste of money?
I mean, I've been to Disneyland.
Yeah, I went when I was a little kid. I'd like to go back. It was. I remember it being fun.
My wife and we went before we got married. It was a good time. Yeah.
Nonetheless,
I got free entry to Disneyland, and we had a place to stay there for free. So all we had to do was get there. So we took like cheap flights out of Rochester.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, we had a good time. We were there for like a week.
So,
Also, the Cowboys and Aliens comic book came out 5 years before the movie did.
Really? Oh man, I must have read something wrong then.
But I mean, it does sound like
Unless I'm thinking about some other movie and mixing.
They might have bought the rights really quickly, right?
Maybe.
Say hi to Pizza for me.
That was Boo meowing.
You have 2 cats?
We have 2 cats. I have Pizza, and then Maj and Boo.
Okay, well, so there's Pizza, Pizza 2, and not Pizza. Got it.
So 3 cats?
Well, didn't you just say 3 names? Maj and Boo?
Yeah, Maj and Boo. That's one name.
Oh. So you have Pizza and not Pizza.
Yeah, Thin Crust All Meat Pizza and Maj and Boo.
Alright.
Boo is a whiny little shit because he just wants to eat all the time because he's a fat little fuck. Aren't you, Boo? And if I rub my fingers together, he always comes check it out because he thinks I have food for him. Every single time, you dumbass. Anyways.
I like that they're getting away from the Skywalker saga or whatever they're trying to say or do, right?
I'm really curious to see what they do with it and what Star Wars, what they want to turn Star Wars into past the Skywalker saga. Like, I like the new trilogy. I do like it quite a bit. I think I like it for different reasons than people dislike it. If you get what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I think they're fine. I think people hold the original trilogy and too much of a high pedestal. Like, a much higher pedestal than it deserves to be on.
I guess. I think, for me, like, Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back are just 2 very good movies.
Yes. And Return of the Jedi is garbage.
Well, it's okay, right?
It's Adam's favorite Star Wars movie.
Well, he's also allowed to be wrong.
Also, people give me shit because I say Rogue One's not a good movie. Like, it's fine. It's just
it's a fun Star Wars story, but as a film, it has issues because it was reshot to hell and recut to hell. See, Solo has the same issues.
See, the problem, I agree with both of those points exactly. Because first and foremost, I am a fan of movies more than I like movies in general more than I like Star Wars. So when I see a Star Wars movie, it needs to be a good movie before it's a good Star Wars movie for me.
Right.
So I think that's what Rogue One was missing for me, is it just wasn't a great movie. Like, it was fine.
If you just want to watch the last 25 minutes on repeat of just the space battle, a lot of people like that. The
space battle I just don't really care about. But my problem with Rogue One is just that I think going into it, I went into it assuming every character was going to die, and because they never pop up and never are mentioned again, there's no reason for me to care about any of these characters.
No, I don't think that's fair. The movie needs to make you care about the characters.
It doesn't, though.
Which that's correct. It doesn't.
There's too many characters, and it never focuses on one of them long enough for you to actually care about them.
Rogue One came from within Lucasfilm and was originally pitched as a Seven Samurai knockoff.
Okay, then make it 3 hours like Seven Samurai then. Make it a super long, boring movie where people just sit around and talk.
I mean,
I love Seven Samurai. It's a hard movie to get through sometimes.
What's the Western they based off of it?
Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, I like Seven Samurai more,
sure. But Magnificent Seven as a Star Wars movie would be great. Right?
Sure.
I don't want to see Rey as a Skywalker. Hopefully they're talking about Ben. Right? The best part, to be honest, of The Last Jedi was a hugely problematic film. But the Luke parts were really good, and the best part, in my mind, at the end was the little kid the Canto Blight scene was complete prequel, worse than prequel trash. But the little kid at the end like using the Force to like bring the broom over to him and like staring up to the sky in hope.
Sure.
Like, not only did the movie not even fucking come close to earning that shot, but that was one of the best parts of the movie.
Really, that was one of my least favorite parts. I just hate shit like that for some reason. Like, just little things like that bug me.
Your heart needs to grow several
Sure.
sizes. Like,
See,
it
like,
sounds like it's
okay,
encased in ice.
Let's talk about Last Jedi for a second, since we're on it.
Okay.
As a movie, it is not the best. All the Canto Bight stuff, 40 minutes need to be trimmed from that movie. Every Star Wars movie has been about 2 hours, except for that one's 2.5.
They needed to keep all the Luke and Rey stuff was great.
That's the thing,
right? And then everything else is just straight garbage.
Anything involving Rey, Kylo, or Luke, and like just stuff about the Force, fantastic. I loved every second of it. It's some of the best Star Wars I've ever is in those moments. I feel. Even Luke, people are pissed off about Luke abandoning the Force or whatever. I think that's amazing. I think it's great.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I as much as I hated Poe, I did like Holdo as a character. I thought she was good. They just
didn't use her well at all. Like,
no, it definitely should have been Carrie Fisher who killed herself at the end there too. That would have been
especially because she immediately died. Like,
I know it's shitty timing, but like as a character thing, that makes sense. It's like, hey, my husband's dead. Like Leia doesn't have a whole lot to left in her to live for. Like her brother's dead, her husband's dead, her son's trying to kill them. Like, hey, the last thing she can do is because the entire series of this new trilogy is the passing of the torch, right? So you could have Carrie Fisher pass the torch to be like, hey, Holdo, you're now the one in charge. Like, you take care of this. You figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would have loved to have Admiral Holdo back.
She's great. I love the actress, so that's probably part of it for me. But yeah.
I don't think Holdo. I mean, a lot of people will complain about Holdo, but I think she was fine.
People are like, "Well, why didn't she tell Poe the plans?" It's like that's not how it works in real life.
It's not how. Yeah,
and I get like also people are like, "Oh, well, like this isn't real life." Like I say it all the time. Don't try to make it seem like real life. It's a movie. Like let it be fake. But it
still needs to make sense, right? Like,
yes.
So much of that movie just, like, breaks your brain where you're like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense.
And I know...
Like, because the movie's not selling it, like, internally.
Back to Jason. I know Jason, he hates how First Order just slowly chased them. It's like, what? It's just boring. I'm like, I was fine with that. Like, the whole slow chase in space.
No, it's
as they're running out of fuel. But, like, here's the thing, is that Star Wars is always about imitating naval battles. And that's just a big thing to be like, hey, this is like a ship running out of fuel at sea. Like, it's just a throwback to those sort of things. And that movie didn't have any, like, it needed something in it for you to feel tension.
Okay, right. And so that's my problem. And probably, you know, if you're thinking about, like, what Jason is saying there, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, he isn't convinced of the reality of what's happening in the film.
Yes.
Right? Because the stupid little shuttle jumps out, warps across the galaxy and back in like 2 hours before they run out of fuel. And if you look at the EU, they literally go from one end of the galaxy to the other, like as far as they fucking can. Yeah. And so it's like, it actually finally gives like in canon, like speeds to hyperspace. And it is essentially just like instantaneous, nothing matters. You can go wherever you want. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, why aren't Star Destroyers like hyperspacing in all around them, like in front of them? Like why aren't the Star Destroyers right next to the big ship? Just like, why don't they just like boop, do a little hop right in front? Like,
okay, well,
let alone the fact that there's just like a planet floating through space that has light when they land on it somehow. Like Crate makes no sense.
Okay, listen. Well, sure, Crate's whatever. But my argument for that would be, A, it's a movie, so like get over that part. But B, if you want like an in-universe explanation for it, you could say like the First Order is super arrogant. Hux is very arrogant. Like, they're not efficient like the Empire is. They're just a ragtag group of terrorists.
And that build a ragtag, like, you don't see ISIS rolling around in a nuclear aircraft carrier.
Sure,
right?
but
like the movie just doesn't, it's not, no, like it just doesn't sell what it's saying. Like, it's saying one thing and then showing us something different.
Yes,
right? And that's a major problem.
It is kind of stupid that the First Order has so much stuff. But even if they have, like, even with all this other stuff, Hux is this very arrogant person. Imagine, like, you're hunting, like, I'll bring it to, like, a naval thing again. Like, let's say there's a whaling ship and they have a whale that is going to die. Yes, they could probably just kill it off. But Hux is like, no, let's just watch and make him suffer. Right? Like, he's just arrogant and he's like, oh, we got this. Let's just follow them until they're dead. Like, why waste the energy or time for this guaranteed kill?
I guess.
Right? Like, that's how I always saw it. So, whatever. I mean, it's a movie.
I'm excited for
preference.
more K2SO in the Cassian show.
I thought K2SO was just kind of boring.
K2SO was great, and it's a shame that we don't have K2SO as a crew. And maybe if we have the Cassian Andor show, it'll force FFG to give us K2SO as a fucking crew. And again, I love it, and it's great.
But here's the thing: is they don't say, "Oh, here's this character. Let's make a card that fits them." At least I'm assuming they don't do that. I'm assuming what they do is, here's an ability we like. Which character does that fit to? Right?
It's gotta be a bit of both, right? Like,
well, I bet they have an entire list of stuff they want to add to the game, and then when a new movie comes out, and like, or when Disney's like, "Hey, these are the characters you have to work with," they probably look through the list and say, "Okay, which of these correlate with each other?" Then with K2SO, they might have just not had anything that they felt worked for him.
They've released the U-Wing twice, and he is a huge fan favorite.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, maybe they knew about, like, they probably known about the Cassian Andor show for a while. So maybe because of that, they're like, well, we'll hold off for that. Right?
I highly doubt it. Like, they just announced the Cassian Andor show. So like, FFG,
I don't think they just announced it. I thought they've talked about it for a while, because I remember Adam talking about it for a while back.
Yeah.
So, but like, FFG probably, they probably don't know plot details, but they probably know, like, here's what's coming out, because they need a lead time to design and work on things.
Yeah.
So they probably know 1 or 2 years in advance what's happening with Star Wars. Not details, but
from
they have
the pattern,
like a general thing.
Yeah, but we don't even know anything about the Cassian Andor show. They're not going to know anything about, like, I'm assuming he's going to be in a U-Wing, but we don't know anything about it, right?
Sure, but like, let's say,
alone that the U-Wing is like the ugliest of the new ships. But
let's say a year ago, like, let's say when 2.0 was launching, FFG had word from Disney, they're going to do a show at some point, or they're in talks about doing a show starring Cassian Andor. So they're like, okay, cool, K2SO will probably be in that, or will be heavily involved since they were friends already when Rogue One started. So we can start planning cards for when we have to start doing that.
But I just, the show was like, you have to think back to, they released the U-Wing Partisan Renegades pack with the U-Wing and the X-Wing, and that had to be planned probably more than a year before it was released.
Yep. But like I said, at that point, they might have just not had anything for any abilities or anything that fit for K2SO.
No, well, then you make something fit. I mean,
but that's not good game design then if you're forcing something in that doesn't work, right?
Well, they do it a lot. But that's why I think, like, if you look at the re-releases, so if you look at, if you think back to 1.0 and you look at how Poe was initially released, different pilot skill, and you look at how like the original Falcon was for Resistance, right? And then after the movie comes out, then they release the Heroes of the Resistance pack.
And completely changed it.
It completely changed it, and everything was like much better and much more on theme. Yeah. Right. So I think they're good at it. I just think, and normally, or what we're seeing, right, is, ships coming out a year after like the launch of a show. And I think that's better because then, to me, that says that like part of their, like, that means that their development time or their development cycle is like while the show is premiering. So like they're watching the TV, or for their cycle, they look at what was actually done rather than just like art, right? Mm-hmm. Because things change, especially for movies. And then they move forward from there. And then that's, I think, worked a little bit better. It's difficult with the movies for sure. But I'm really hoping that there is going to be, in Wave 5, it looks to sort of like bring everything back together. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Okay.
I'm bringing it back to Wave 5. Wave 5 seems light for new ships. There's only 2. And so, it's end of quarter 3. So that sounds like September. And so that in the past, that's when we've seen announcements about, ships for
the
movies.
Yeah, I expect we'll get a mini movie wave that will probably have, the First Order Interceptor and then a Resistance new ship, whatever that one decides to be. And then that will be its own mini wave. Maybe.
Yeah, it looks like we could have RZ-2s. Looks like we could have speeders. Lando in the Resistance Falcon, I guess, because they've dragged another corpse onto the screen.
Why is he wearing the same outfit from the Solo movie?
Because it's like poetry; it rhymes.
Also, his daughter looks to be wearing the exact same clothing too. Basically,
he has a daughter.
Yeah, they showed pictures of his daughter.
Oh.
I know. They have to have every character be related to each other. They can't just have a character. They can't have a black character not be related to Lando.
I can think of one.
No, I know. I know there is. But it's just, that is my biggest issue with the new trilogy, is that every character is still related to one another.
You forget about fan favorite Wilro Hood.
Who?
He's a key part of Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Do you not know who Wilro Hood is?
No, I do not.
He should get a crew.
Who is he?
He runs through the background with an ice cream machine.
I mean, yeah, everyone in Star Wars has a name and a backstory.
Correct.
To a fault.
Yeah. Correct.
I'm curious to see what the Mandalorian is. I'm curious to see if it... Actually, the Mandalorian won't do it, because I want to see a Star Wars show that has nothing from the original trilogy in it.
Oh, well, that's what the Game of Thrones guys are working on, right? Are you laughing at me or your cats? Pizza and Pizza 2.
Boo! Hey, get down from there. He just tried to jump on top of my fridge from the counter, and it was an abysmal failure, and it was really funny, and I wish my wife was here to see it, because she'd be crying right now. So I'm going to call her in a second, once we're finished recording, because I think we're pretty much done anyways.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
We've talked about nonsense for some time now.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for listening again.
Especially after that last 20 minutes.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm going to be cutting a lot of that down.
No, all my opinions.
I'm just going to be cutting out like the dead air.
Sure.
Thank you for listening. Send us an email at seatoskypodcast@gmail.com if you have any list ideas or list suggestions, or anything stupid you want us to try out, or just general questions for me or Adam or any guests. Let's see, what else? You can check us out on YouTube now. I'll link it in the post and in the show notes. Thank you for listening. You're the best. Next weekend is Hyperspace. Episode will probably go up on Monday next week. It will be a live recording from the Hyperspace, much like we did last year at the regionals. So don't expect it to be the best sounding podcast, but I mean, you're pretty much used to that with this show anyways. Because we're just going to record it on my phone between games probably, and probably on the drive to and from. We'll have a little pre-Hyperspace thoughts going into it. Yeah, so Devon, any shout-outs you want to give?
I think I tried to work them all in. Congrats to Bohan, who won his Hyperspace trial. We've got a couple more coming up. There's going to be one in London and one in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I'm going out to Montreal in a few weeks to cast for Bruno and Millennium Condor.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Take lots of photos.
I will try.
And harass everyone there.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Devon.
Happy to come. Happy to help. And happy to create discussion about your incorrect opinions on Star Wars.
That's fantastic. I can talk about that anytime. We'll